So thank you again for taking time to join us today in our webinar. As Beria mentioned, we would be going through the Smartlist Builder. So I'm going to jump straight into this Smartlist Builder. There are some persons who may know what Smartlist Builder is, and there may be some persons who do not. All right. So anyone who has Microsoft Dynamics GP from 2010, they would have this function. So basically what Smartlist is basically what the name suggests. So you would go to Microsoft Dynamics GP and you click on Smartlist. So what Smartlist is, it's an intelligent list of data, and you have various lists for different areas within Dynamics GP, right? So it comes with a bunch of preset reports that are built for you. So for example, if I were to go to the purchasing series, for example, if it is I wanted to look at my receiving transactions, for example, I can click on receiving transactions and it's going to generate a report that is based on that, right? Of all the transactions that are in the system. So what we are going to do, we are going to go into the Smartlist Builder, but on the report, if you wanted to, you can also drill into the report and it actually takes you back to the window that's based on this particular report. Okay, so it's a very powerful tool. You can also export to Excel if you wish, right? You can create queries by doing searches and so on. But these two buttons here, Smartlist Designer, it's similar to Smartlist Builder, but it's for Smartlist Designer. So we're not going to be looking at the Smartlist Design aspect, but we're going to actually be looking at the Smartlist Builder aspect. So this is Smartlist in a nutshell, but what we're going to do is hop into Smartlist Builder, right? Because that's really where we want to start. So if it is I go back to my home page, I can go to Microsoft Dynamics GP, then I can go to Tools, and then you would see Smartlist Builder. And that's where we want to be. All right. Let's wait for it to load. Okay, so there we go. So this is what the Smartlist Builder screen looks like. And we are going to create a report so that we can create a new Smartlist and be able to view that Smartlist screen. So I'm going to call this Smartlist. We need to give it an ID. So I'm going to call this webinar report. Okay. And we're going to create a budget report. So we're going to call this periodic budget. Okay. And here on the top right, you need to tell GP where you're pulling the data from. So this is going to be default for any table that you want to add. So I am going to pick the financial series because, as we know, the budget are part of the general ledger, so it's going to come from the financial module. So now what we're going to do is add the tables where we need to pull the data. So I'm going to click on the plus sign. Right? You have the option to add other Smartlists, or you can either pull it from Microsoft Dynamics GP tables, and that's where we're pulling the information from today. So just to highlight something, you can pull from all the different third-party products that you may have connected to your Dynamics GP. You do have that option. So Smartlist Builder is connected to anything that is currently registered inside GP. All right, so it's not just the native GP functionality. So today's demo is just going to be on the Microsoft Dynamics GP functionality, right? But if you do have third parties registered, you will see it listed under the product list. So we're going to also pull from the financial series. And because we are doing budgets, the table will start with the name budget. So we are going to look for the correct budget table. So what we're going to do, we're going to scroll down to where we see budget, right? And we're going to click on the budget summary master. The budget summary master, where you would see budget summary master here, and then we would click on save, and you can select budget by these key fields. So it identifies the key fields within the table. You can also add more if you require them, but usually the defaults are correct, and we're going to click save. So now it's going to pull all the fields as currently available within this table. So here you can see you have the budget ID, which is the name of your budget. You have the period date, you have the period ID. So all of these are going to be important information. And it's also going to include the budget amount, which is also important for us to have in our report. All right, so that will contain the budget amount for that particular period. You also have account category number and account index number. So the account index is actually your account number. So we'll go over that in a little bit of detail in a second. And we also have our segments here, which is a bunch of segments, which is our demo data that's currently loaded in the system. All right, and we also have the year as well. So to build my list, what I need, and off the bat, I can go through and select what it is I would like to display. So I would definitely want my period ID. So I'm going to select that. I will probably need my year as well, so I can identify what year the budget was in. I am also going to pull in my account index, which I stated previously that it's also your account number. And I'm going to also pull in my budgeted amount. All right. So for now, I mean, as we're now getting started in building the report, I'm going to leave it as it is for now. With Smartlist Builder, it's important to start slowly. So you can select a certain amount of information, view those results, and then you can always go back in and refine the report as needed. All right, so that's the kind of approach I would also recommend in taking, and we're going to take that approach as well. So we may be just going back and forth between windows a bit, just to ensure that we are getting the information that we require. All right. One thing to point out is that up in the options area, we do have the ability to preview your data. And I do recommend using it. It's not something that's fully formatted, but it will just tell you the data that you're pulling in, so you can just ensure that the data is there. It's not going to look like your Smartlist report, but at least you're going to be able to preview what data is there. So if I click on preview data, I am able to see the period ID, the account index, the year, also the budget amount. Okay. And also notice that the account index is also giving us this strange number. This does not look like an account number. So, and that's because actually it isn't based on what we are seeing here. In default in GP, the account number that you see is actually stored as indexes, right? And those indexes are stored within the SQL tables. So Smartlist Builder has a fantastic tool where it makes it easy for you to click on the field. So let's click OK. And let's go back to account index. So you can actually click on the account index field and you see this blue arrow up to the top. You can click on that and you click account index, show account number. And instead of just showing the index number, it's going to actually show you the account number. So that's something really useful that you can use. So it will show the actual account number instead of building it yourself. So once you do that, you can then change the name of the fields. Instead of it showing account index, we would now call it account number. All right, or we could just call it account. All right, so let's save this. Let's just see what we have thus far. So I'm going to save this report. Okay. So once I click on Smartlist, I'm going to get a prompt that it detected some sort of change. So now we have the periodic budget. So this is where I would have created the budget. And here you can see the periodic budget that I created has the information that I pulled in. So you have the period date, you have the budget amount. It also has the account number that we converted from the account index to the account number, and also the year. So I am pulling the information, and we are using a test company, right? And the account number looks more like what we need. So we have a few tech segments and the budgeted amount and the periods, as I mentioned. So when you look at these accounts, you can see that these accounts are segmented. So we have a lot of segments listed here, and we have more than one department that is currently using the account. So if you don't want to see it by account or by department, we can do something called a roll up, and you can see the totals rolled up as opposed to seeing it separated like that. So let's come out of Smartlist. I'm going to close it. Okay, so let's go back into GP. And I'm going to go back into my Smartlist builder. So remember, it's Tools, Smartlist Builder, Smartlist Builder. Okay, I'm going to look for my Smartlist, which we call webinar report. And instead of using the account number, let's deselect that. And we're going to go to the segments rather than the account number. So these are the segments in order, segment 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on, right? So we only had a couple, but as you can see, the system supports a lot more segments, right? So we can select various segments based on what we would like displayed. So for example, if I was to select segment 3 and segment 4, for example, or we could just select segment 4 only, and let's save that. And we can go back into the system, back on the Smartlist. Smartlist detected the change, is updating the change made to the periodic budget. And let's go back into financial, and let's go back into our periodic budget report. And here you can see, based on the account, you can see what happened. So it only has pulled the account segment for segment 4. And this back and forth process that we are doing is actually the proper way to build a smart list, because you always want to check your work and the information that's being done. And just a word of caution, if you were to make a ton of changes and you don't do the, the back and forth method where you check one thing and make changes and make updates and check again, you may not know where the issue occurred, right? Because you would have done everything all at once, and then you may not know, okay, what you may need to remove and so forth. So it's always better to add some data, validate the data, and proceed in that manner, right? So that way you just know what's going on, all right? So now we are not looking at the entire account, we're just looking at a particular segment. All right, so I'm going to go back into Smartlist Builder. Let's bring up the report again. I want to validate some data on the account index before I continue. So I'm going to save this. Okay, so I can actually bring in segment 1, and I think I will start with just segment 1. And I'm going to bring that information in, and then we can proceed. So let's go back out, and let's just make that update. Let's bring up and let's select our first segment. Let's remove the account index. Let's save it. Okay, let's go back into Smartlist. Let's click yes on the changes. And let's go back to the periodic budget. All right, and here we have our first segment. All right, so what we're going to do now, we're going to do a roll up of the accounts. So, and before we do that, we can do some formatting. So let's close out of the Smartlist builder, the Smartlist report once again, and let's go back into Smartlist builder. Okay, so what we're going to do, we're going to change the column order. That's the first thing that we're going to do. So first of all, this name is terrible. So we're going to fix that. So let's cancel and let's go back to the Smartlist here. And this, we're going to call it account. Okay, and now we could go back to column. Much better. Right, and we can change the order. All right, so this is the order in which the columns is going to appear. So it's going to this is going to let you predefine in which order you would like to see the columns shown in the report. So I would like account and I would like the year. I'm going to move this up. And then I would like the period ID and then the budget amount. So I'm okay with this order now. I'm going to click save. And then we're going to click save. All right, let's go back to Smartlist and review our change one more time. Okay, so here we go. Now it's appearing in the order in which we want it. Right? And it's just the natural account that is showing. So going back to the model, we can go and now do a filter out on what it is we actually want to see based on account, right? Because you're seeing all your accounts at this moment. There's currently no filters, right? So every account is listed here at this moment. But in order for you to filter based on the account, you need to know what category your accounts fall under, right? So we can just look at that quickly. We can go to financial window. And let's go to, let me expand this a bit. And let's go to our financial. And let's go to our setup. So let me scroll down to the setup maintenance window for the account maintenance. Okay, so what we're going to do, we're just going to pick a particular account. And for this method, you can choose whichever accounts you want. So if it is I want to just validate an account for a particular segment, I can either do it from the Smartlist, or I can use the lookup for the accounts. Right, and I can choose a particular account listed here. Okay. So here you can see that you have these segments. You can select one of these accounts. Let's see which one we may want. So we have office expenses, for example. All right, and the category was called administrative expense. And that is what we want to filter on, right? So by filtering on this, it's going to be able to for us to pull that information into our Smartlist, right? And to get at this, we would need to add some other tables. Now, how do you know which table that you need to pull in based on the information that you're looking for? And that's a great question. And Smartlist Builder is a great utility which allows you to find that out, right? Without allowing you to dig as much. So if you have the window open that you know contains the information, you can just take note of the window, which is the account maintenance window. And that is where you can get your information. So this is administrative expense, account maintenance window. So if we go back into Smartlist Builder, let's get that report that we are building. And I'm going to add another table. So I'm going to click add. Right, and this is going to be another GP table. And instead of scrolling through this entire list of tables, you can click on this magnifying glass. And this is going to bring you to a lookup window. It's actually called Table Finder. So it says what it is you want to search by. Usually, a lot of the time we use window, but you do have the options to search by field name or field value. So window for the form is called account maintenance. Right, so there it is there. And now it shows you all the tables that are being used on that window. Right, so what we want to know, we would want to know the account description. So let's select that. And now it narrows it down to the account master. So the name of this table is the account master which we are looking for. So we're going to select account master. And now the account, right? So as soon as we select it, it brings us back to the add table window, right? So it's asking us, how do we want to link these tables? Now, usually it would predefine it for you, right? And there are some places that you may have to link the fields manually, right? But usually the field names would be the same in both tables, right? So we have account index and account index. So that's how it's being linked. So this one did an automatic link for us, so we don't have to do anything here. And another thing that we need to notice here is this link method. So there are two options. You have equal and you have outer join. And if it is you have it set to equal, it means that any record in table A and in table B that match would be returned. All right, so that's equal. Table A records need to match to table B records, and those match would be returned on your report. Now, if you set it to the left outer join, it means that even if records in table A don't exist in, sorry, the other way around, even if records in table B don't match in table A, it's still going to return those records. All right, so it's using equal as a way of kind of filtering the data a little bit, just to ensure that you're getting table data from both tables. Okay. All right, and we do want equals because we do want the data that's being pulled to match. And we're going to click save. All right, and now you see we have our account master added to the Smartlist. Now we still need to do another step and go one step further, because what we want is the account category that we were looking at in the account maintenance window. All right, so let's scroll down and let's see if we can find it. Let's see. All right, so we have it called account category number, but I don't want the category number. I actually want the account category description. So let's drill one more level down into the account master. I'm going to add another table here. And this one is going to call the account category master. Okay. Now, when I select this account category master table, it did not do an automatic link. Right, so I am going to click on the plus sign and I'm going to show you how you can do that manually. So this is the from and this is the to field. So usually when you're doing the link, it's going to be the same name. So we're going to be linking the account category number in the account master table. And we're also going to link the account category number in the account category master table as well. So once you do that, you click save. And here you can see that it links the both fields from both tables. All right, and then we click save again. Now you can simply add, for the account category master, you can now add the account category description. And that you can now add it into my list. All right, so we can click off account category master and click on the budget summary master. And display, I'm just going to explain these two a bit in case persons on the call does not know. Display means that it's going to be available for the user to add manually, right? So once you have these selected here, the user can add these fields manually if they want to. Where default, once you have the areas selected, this is actually what's going to appear on the report. All right, so that's the difference between those two. So we have all the fields enabled as display. All right, so all of the fields are able to be added if the user wants to. However, we only have a specified fields added here as default. So I'm going to click save here. And let's go back and run our Smartlist. Let's just see what we got. Okay, so let's click Smartlist. Okay, so there's our periodic table. And now we're pulling all the category descriptions, right? And this is now going to allow you to filter this, right, if you wanted to. So you have all the categories listed. All right. Now, as you can see, we are doing bit by bit. We're pulling in data, we're validating that data, we're going back, making the changes, validating the data some more. And as we go, you build your report. All right, so we're just ensuring that what we want to pull, it's pulling in that data correctly. So another thing that you can do, as we were mentioning, you can now do the roll-up, right? So you have different periods, you have different years, but also you also have possibly for different departments, all right? So say, for example, this account here, it's 2013 for period 6, all right? And then you have this one as well, 2013 for period 6 as well. It could be for different departments as well. So what we can do is do the roll up, and then we can just do the roll up and we can check out that really cool feature in Smartlist. So let's go back to Smartlist Builder. And this feature is known as Summary Smartlist. So let's do that. And this is something that is not available in Smartlist Designer. So if I were to bring up the Smartlist again, the webinar report, first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to unselect all of these records. Because when you build a summary Smartlist, you don't want to have users adding additional columns, right? Because you're kind of doing like a roll up, so you want to treat it differently. So I'm going to do that for the other tables that I brought in. And let's do an unmark all. And let's also do it for the category master. And then we can now add back the accounts that is needed. So under the budget summary master, we had selected this account. All right, which is our account number. All right, so this is our account number. Then we also want to show the period ID that we had before. Let's also bring back the budget amount as well. We're going to show our year. Right, from the account category master. And let's bring in the account description. All right, And we can now go up to options and we go to summary. And this is where you go to create your roll-up. So as soon as you click on summary Smartlist, right, it gives you the option of how you want to treat these particular fields. So most of the time you would modify the default, right? So you have the account and you have the summary type as count. This may not be what you want, and I want to make this change as well. So we want to do not a count, but a group by the specific accounts. Okay. So we have that saved. The budget amount, we do want the sum, so we're going to leave it as is. And the period ID, it shouldn't be sum, it should also be a group by. So we will also want to group by the period ID. And let's save that. Okay. And let's also do the year as well. Let's do that not by sum, but we also group by the year also. Okay, so you have these fields. You also have the account category master, right? So we don't want the account category description to be count. We just want this to be a group by as well. Right, so we're grouping by all these fields. Let's click on save. Okay, and let's save again. All right, let's go back into our Smartlist and let's just view what we have. And let's accept those changes. Okay, let's open the financial and let's go back to the periodic budget report. Okay. So now you have your roll-up report, and pretty much we're going to go back and look at these columns. Let me also add something. So let me go back to, let me close this. Let's go back into Smartlist Builder. I want to try this account. So I'm going to deselect this one. I'm going to select this one. Okay. Let's validate the report again. Okay, good. Now let's move back into the Smartlist builder. And what we're going to do, we're going to go to our report, and then we're going to go to our columns back at the top. You know what? I'm going to just rename this so that it's going to be a little bit shorter. So let's just call it category. Okay, let's go back to columns. And let's move our category up. And let's move the accounts up. And let's click save. Okay, and let's click save. Okay, so now you have your data to point as to how you want it. So you see the various steps that we have gone through, the different changes that we have made, and these changes can be applied to any report that you need to build within Smartlist Builder. Right, to be able to pull the information as to how you would like to see it. Right, and now what we can do, we can do a less do it we can narrow it a little bit more. We can pull it for 1 year, right? And we can pull it for a particular category as well. So we want to see, for example, administrative expenses. So we can pull administrative expenses, and let's pull maybe for 2021. Right, so you can do that, those filters right inside of Smartlist. You click on, and those of you that are familiar with Smartlist would probably already know this process. So we are going to go, we're going to go to our search bar here, all right? And then here we're going to select the category, because I only want to see where the category is equal to administrative expenses. Hopefully I have the value correctly, right? And we want to see where the year is equal to 2021. All right, and let's click OK. Okay, so I probably had the name wrong. Let's go back to search. I'm going to remove the category. So it's just administrative expense. Let's go back to search and let's add the category again. Okay. All right. So now it's only pulling in for the category and for the particular year that I want. So at this point, you can export your report to Excel, right? And then you can do your graphs and whatnot within Excel, right? As you wish. So this is how you create a Smartlist builder report in GP. We went through a lot of functionality. Smartlist builder has a lot more functionality that can be used, but we did go through quite a bit of the functionality that you can use for your reports when you're building your Smartlist builder reports. And I hope that it has been extremely helpful to you. All right, so at this time, I am going to close out my webinar for today. Unless there are any further questions, I would like to thank you all for joining. Over to you, Maria.